it'd be really interesting to know what percentage of people in the Zoom meetings over the last like year and a half have gone like audio mute, visual mute, pour the bourbon. That would actually be a great question for the channel. Like, how
For,
many of you poured bourbon during a Zoom meeting in the last year?
tonight on Power of Bourbon, big surprise because Chuck was in charge. We're going to review another barrel. And the good news is, if you watched our last one where it was Barrel Batch 26, if you think really hard and you're not from Kentucky, you can count. And you know that the next number is number 27. So we are going to try Barrel Batch 27 tonight. So tell us a little bit about it, Chuck.
Yeah, it's a blend of bourbons aging from 5 years to 15 years. So we got quite an age range here. It's coming in at 115.7 proof. So hefty, but not Elijah Craig barrel proof hefty. As a lot of theirs, it's distilled in, these barrels are distilled in Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. So a little bit of MGP, a little bit of Dickel probably, and probably a little bit of Barton.
Yeah.
So initial thought here is the nose is a little bit more subtle than maybe some of the other barrel products.
Yeah, I don't pick up any of the Tennessee note at all.
I do get like dark chocolate notes.
Yeah, just a little bit of that cocoa.
And then maybe some red fruit.
You know, the nose on this one is definitely kind of on that subtle end. It's gonna take you a while, I feel like, to really absorb what this nose has to offer. You kind of have to search for it. So if you enjoy noses that are not overly strong, and maybe
if you like a good
subtle
scavenger hunt, this one's for you.
Yeah, a good scavenger hunt, if you will, is a little bit. That's exactly how I would describe this nose. It's a scavenger hunt. You're kind of searching, like, okay, what's in there? What's in there? So if you sniffed a lot of paint chips as a kid, you're probably going to get nothing out of this. If you just
Brian speaks from experience, or was that huffing that you did? I can't remember. Whippets.
Whippets. If you did a lot of whippets in middle school, you're probably not getting a lot out of this. So
please do not let us know in the comments below if you did whippets in middle school. We don't need to know.
Oh, that's funny.
The palate's interesting though. So it's like the nose doesn't kind of lets me down a little bit, but boy, the palate comes back strong. It's like this kind of get like this fruitcake spice because you get this blend of these light orchard fruits, apple, pear, and then it comes through with a strong, almost like a Christmas spice there.
Yeah, and it definitely goes back to a bourbon that coats your entire mouth, so it's very oily and viscous. It's got some caramel notes in there. There's a lot of flavors going on.
I'd say the overall kind of flavor, taste, smell profile of this particular one is definitely on a rise for me from nose to palate to finish. I feel like kind of grows in intensity with that subtle start to the nose. The palate has a lot of really good flavor to it, and then for me, I really enjoy the finish. I might enjoy the finish on this one a little bit more than you guys, just because I feel like I get kind of some pepper in there on the finish, and it has a little bit of oomph and kick.
Yeah, there's an interesting note, I feel like, from the palate to the finish, and I almost want to say it's like a gin note. I feel like I get like juniper almost in there. Where it's coming from, I don't know, but it's like a evergreen juniper note that I would get on a gin. And then the rest of the finish goes into your traditional finish of pepper, a high rye finish, and it's very, very enjoyable. Definitely on the sides of the jaw. It's very good.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was trying to figure out exactly what was going with that pepper on the finish. I couldn't really distinguish it, but it might be kind of a juniper note on there.
All right. So for the final numbers, everything like that, as we always say with the Barrel products, for availability, when it hits, you're probably going to be able to find it if they distribute to your area. It's going to run you anywhere from 80 to 90 bucks. So right around there. And then, yeah, so for me, for the nose, I do feel like this is the weakest part of the whole bourbon as far as everything goes. I'm going to put it at a 3 just because it's good, but it's just really not there. It's super subtle. Maybe if I sat this in my glass and really let it open for a while, some of those notes would come out a little bit more, but I kind of want more of the aromas and everything like that. So I'm going to give it a 3.
I have to agree with TJ on this one. Just if their aromas had a little bit more oomph to them, I think I'd easily go to 3.5. But you have to search for them, kind of in like a scavenger hunt, maybe a little bit too much. Is enjoyable, but once again, just a lack of potency on the nose, I feel like keeps it at a 3.
Yeah, it's unanimous 3 from me as well. Actually, you say potency. I get like some of that. It's a bit ethanol forward. I wish there was just other notes of vanilla and caramel. And it's
maybe it's the whippets.
Lacking a bit. Maybe it's the whippets. Yeah, your nostrils have been burned. Unanimous 3.
All right.
Palate.
So palate, I'm gonna go 3.5. I really enjoy the palate. I think it's very good. Like I said, it goes back to one of those with the type of bourbon I like, that it coats the whole mouth, so it's hitting all your taste buds, and it's doesn't have any harsh notes or anything like that. It's, for lack of a better word, very smooth with lots of great caramel. I really like that little bit of juniper note that I'm picking up and everything like that. So yeah, definitely 3.5.
I'm the same for pretty much all the same reasons.
Chuck wanted a 4.
Nothing to add.
I was gonna say I would have been at a 4, or I am at a 4. I love this. Like, you get tons of fruit, but also it comes through with that little bit of spice that, again, I'm kind of like all of those flavors together kind of just remind me of like a fruitcake spice. And I think it's delightful and it's long lasting. So I'm at a 4.
Okay, Charlie, you convinced me.
Yeah,
I was on the borderline. You made a lot of valid points here.
Power of persuasion.
And taste it again. You are correct. It should be a 4.
That's what I was going back to. I was like, okay. what have I'm trying to think like what else we've rated a 4. Like I feel like we haven't. Again, we're getting off of Brian's pours, so all of our taste buds are whacked. Like we need to get back to our standard of these are quality. So like I'm trying to think what was the last 4 we had on a palate, and I don't know. And this is one of the better palates we've had in a long time. So yeah, I guess this is definitely right up there. So I'll go with you guys and go 4. All right, how about the finish, Chuck?
This I'm at a 3.5. Like it's a strong finish. I like how it lingers. You get a lot of those fruit notes that carry through from the palate. So I think it's strong. Yeah, it's 3.5 for me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
For all the reasons you just mentioned, I'm at a 4. I like the finish on this. You get the fruit notes in the finish. You get that juniper. You get pepper. I feel like on the finish, the coating in your mouth stays and lingers. I feel like the pepper kind of dances for a little bit. I would say a long lasting, not a super long lasting finish. This is a 4. Like this is a solid 4 finish. Like,
all right, so it is June 16th when this video gets released. I don't know, but on this day, June 16th, 2021, I agree with Brian. It is a 4.
Yes.
I think it's great. It lasts a long time. It gives you flavors that you don't normally get on a bourbon.
I'm still tasting it.
Yeah,
I'm still tasting it.
And it's not like some of them where you're still tasting it because of a really strong pepper note or a really strong ethanol note. It's a long taste of everything. All the flavors stay with you, so it's a very pleasant taste. So yeah, definitely a 4. Again, as far as would I buy this, get it at a bar, hunt it, Now, what is my recommendation? If you don't have a barrel, I would actually recommend you really buy this batch 27. I think it's great. I think it is definitely a great one to get you into the barrel products if you don't have a barrel yet. As I've said in a previous video, this one still hasn't. It got me closer to finally pulling the trigger on a regular barrel bourbon. Now, I will caveat it. I do have Barrel Dovetail and I do have Barrel New Year, both which I very much enjoy. I just don't have a barrel bourbon yet. But yeah, this one definitely brought me a little bit closer. And I think it's a great buy if you get it at MSRP for you if you don't have a barrel product. That's my recommendation.
I would say this is a pretty safe barrel buy, you know, if you can find it, simply because there's nothing too strong or off-putting at any point in time. You have a little bit of kick on the finish, but it's definitely not overpowering. You get nice flavors on the palate. It's a great safe pick to get a barrel that I think a wide variety of people would definitely enjoy versus I think some of the other barrels maybe are a little bit more palate specific as far as your enjoyment level. But I'd imagine just average Joe off the street, you know, well, let's say average Joe bourbon drinker, I feel like their palate would align very closely to ours on this particular one with not a lot of variance. But for me, again, at the price point, $80-$90, my budget, if you watch the channel at all, you know, is
gotten smaller as of a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and with a new kid recently, the bourbon budget is shrinking. And just the fact, you know, for me, I pull the trigger on an $80-$90 bottle 3, maybe 4 times a year. So it really has to be exceptional at that price point for me. It's a drink at the bar, drink from a friend. But it's
either drink Chucks any day of the week.
Yeah, drink Chucks any day of the week. But it's probably not one of the 4 $90 plus bottles that I'm going to buy a year.
So when I first tasted Batch 27, this was a miss for me. I thought it took a step back from 24, 25, 26 of theirs. And maybe that's just because how I probably heavily weight the nosing experience more. And this one, that was the weakest point. But then it really accelerated from there. And I think tonight, it's taken me this much to appreciate it. I really do appreciate that palate. That is delightful. This is the one to get served in a rocks glass at a bar when you can't smell it anyway. It's just like this wide open glass. Like, this is the one to get. So no, this is I'm appreciating it, and it's different from, like, you know, you don't get any of those notes from our Tennessee friend. And so if that's kind of a put off to you, like, this would be a barrel batch to go with, and I love that complexity, and then that finish. It's not overpowering. It's, you know, sometimes like the Elijah Craig barrel proofs that we love at a similar price point or a little cheaper. Those can be really heavily pepper forward, and that's a burning finish. That's not for everybody. This one is a higher proof bourbon that I think gives you the complexity throughout both the palate and the finish.
Yeah. So once again, I mean, we are going to tell you the honest reviews and everything like that, and we're not scared of blended bourbon or even Tennessee bourbon like some channels unfortunately are. Again, we will say the Dickel note is not for everyone, but honestly, Batch 27 really doesn't have it. So that's why we're saying it's a safe bet. If you want to get into the barrel stuff, 27 is one to look at. And actually, you can probably find it still around, depending where you are and everything like that. Again, leave us a comment. Please hit the subscribe, hit the like button, give us thumbs up, everything like that. And we appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next time.
Stay neat.
Power of bourbon.